Welcome back. So a couple days ago, I posted on my Instagram story a little question box where you guys could ask me art-related or non-art related questions. And I wanted to make this video to do a little Q&A with you guys because we just hit 1,000 subs and 100,000 followers on Instagram, which is crazy. And I get so many DMs of people asking me questions. So I figured to celebrate and maybe clear some things up, you guys could just directly ask me the questions and I will make a video and try to answer every single one of them. So let's answer some questions. Here we go. Okay, first question. Hey man, love your work. How can I price my original artwork? Thank you so much. I guess there are two ways you can price your original work, and that's just flat rate or by the hour. So for flat rate, you can basically just say, I think my drawing is worth this. This is how much I would let it go for and I'd be happy about it. And if people don't like that, then don't buy it. Or you can do by the hour if you time track, which is very important. You should do that. Just track how many hours it takes you to do that work, and then you can charge by the hour. So if the customer asks like, hey, where'd you come up with this price? You can just show them the math. Me personally, I usually do more of the flat rate because my hours are usually about the same for each piece I do, depending on the size. So I'll just do like a flat rate. This is the price of an original at this size. But a lot of people do hourly. So what brand of pencils do you use? I use Faber-Castell 9000 for graphite, and I use Generals for charcoal. And I actually made an entire YouTube video of every single tool that I use. So if you haven't seen that yet, I'll put it like up here somewhere. You can click, watch that, and come back. Can you tell us how to stay motivated to do such a worthy, time-consuming work? Great question. First off, you have to have a love for the art. You have to really be passionate about it and really want to do it in the future and continue doing it. If you are not 100% passionate and in love with it, you will become very unmotivated really easily. I've been very passionate about this for my entire life, so I do have consistent motivation right there, but also sharing your work online is huge for me. I know some people are very intimidated by it, but I've kind of gotten past the stage of like stage fright, and having all the love and support and people commenting and being super nice about everything is really motivating, because there are days when I wake up and I just don't want to draw, but I'll record a video and put it out, and you guys always have really kind words and it really motivates me. Make sure you're passionate about what you're doing before you start it. That's how I find motivation. I want to draw big like A0 size. If you know it's expensive, I don't earn from art for now. Should I take the risk? It is very expensive. In fact, I have paper for my newest drawing shipping right now, and it's $40 a sheet for paper. But people always ask, should I draw on a smaller scale or a larger scale? Definitely larger. The larger it is, the more detail you can get in. A drawing always looks better when it's bigger, especially when you work in the realism, hyper-realism type of fields with that much detail and how tedious they are. I would say don't destroy your budget, but take the risk. Don't get too comfortable. Where do you get the paper you draw on from? Okay, so I use Strathmore 500 series plate 3-ply. I usually get the 30 by 40 inch sheet, and I get it from Blick. My biggest recommendation is, if you want to use that paper, it's the most expensive paper you can use for this type of stuff. So an alternative could be the 400 series, which is on Amazon. That's what I used to use. That's what I used for my entire Let Me Fix This series. Way less expensive. You can get it by the pad on Amazon. But if you insist on using the 500 series, which I don't think I'll ever go back because it is really, really nice. If you have a Blick store near you, please go and pick it up. Even if it's like a 30-minute drive, because I don't have one near me. I have to order it, and I kid you not, I'm not putting any blame on them, but all 4 times I've ordered paper through them, it has come damaged, and they always have to either replace it or I have to return it. So that's just my warning, but they are the only people that sell the 500 series from my knowledge, so proceed with caution. Do you use a reference picture to draw? I do, but I don't like using just one reference because I like to add a surrealistic twist to my drawings, so I usually end up using between like 10 to 20 different references, and I take them all myself, which is another piece of advice I always give artists, is to make sure you take your own references. What type of music do you listen to for creative inspiration? Great question. I always tell people that music is like my second favorite hobby, which I can't play any instruments. I don't make music, but I love listening to it. I have a whole thing of vinyls right there behind the camera. What type of music? I listen to, man, for creative inspiration, I listen to a lot of people my age. Dayglow, Rit Momney, Backseat Lovers. I don't know, I just get really inspired whenever people that I can relate to make really, really cool stuff, and that makes me really want to make cool stuff. My favorite album of all time is Fuzzy Brain by Dayglow, and he made that album in his bedroom in high school, and it's genuinely perfect to me, and it just blows my mind that he was able to create that. So I really look at the artist behind the music for the creative inspiration side of it. So what do you think?
What do you think?
It's a great question. Do you ever use color pencils for portraits? For portraits, no. In high school, in art class, I have used color pencils. In fact, I actually won some like state competition, or at least I was like runner-up or something. I had to do a color pencil car. It's not great by any means, but it's like the only color pencil thing I have that I've kept, but Also, color pencils are expensive, way more expensive than graphite pencils. How? What got you into doing art? Literally, when I could pick up a pencil, I've been drawing. I've shared my old art on Instagram and TikTok. I have drawings from when I was like 1. So trying to recall my mindset back in 2001, my birth year. I can't remember exactly what got me into it, but we're just gonna shout out Spider-Man because 90% of my drawings from ages 1 to 5 are Spider-Man. Do you have a specific degree or education related to art and design? Yes, but not studio art, what I do. I have a degree in, it's called Integrated Media Arts. It's basically a combination between graphic design and marketing. So I figured I don't want to go to college and spend tens of thousands of dollars just to sharpen my studio skills that I already have. There are sides of the art world, and if I want to be a full-time artist that I don't know, which is the business side and all like the technology, marketing, branding side of it. So I figured let's expand my skill set instead of just sharpening what I already have. And I'm really glad I made that decision. Like I wouldn't know how to edit this video in Premiere if it weren't for my degree. So, but if you want to go for studio art, absolutely do it. That's the one thing I kind of missed out on, is getting the connections with galleries and stuff like that. So there are pros and cons to both. That's just the route I went down. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years, I just hope that I am still doing art, hopefully doing it full time, and I'm happy. And I'm creating really cool stuff. If I'm doing that in 5 years, then best paper for smooth blendings. Smooth, not vellum. Might be obvious, but a lot of charcoal artists, including some like professional artists, use vellum, which granted it does grip the charcoal better and make it easier so you don't have to keep layering, but if we're talking smooth blending, no texture on the paper so that you can get as much detail as possible, always go for smooth, which is also known as plate, but stay away from vellum is like my main piece of advice. What is the printing process like? Is it expensive to have those done? Yeah, it is quite literally one of the most stressful things I've had to do because I make all the prints myself. I own the paper, I take the pictures of the drawings, and I will Photoshop them and color grade them so that they look identical. And then I will use that file and send it to the print shop along with my paper and the dimensions and everything. And then they'll print it for me, and then I'll go in and then I'll cut them to the right size and package them up. Taking the pictures for prints is so technical. Everything has to be perfect. It's such a process. Yeah, prints are way more complicated than people think. I've been selling prints for about a year now, and I think I kind of have it down. Still learning things here and there, but I'm very happy with the state that the prints are in. And then going off of that, how do you take the photos for your prints? Basically, I have the drawing on this drafting table right here. I will set it up perfectly vertical. I will make sure I have 2 light sources coming in from both angles so that the lighting is even, and make sure you use cool lighting, not warm lighting. I will set the camera up with the lens at 50 millimeters. Make sure your aperture is between like 9 and 16. Make sure you have a timer on your camera, and then take the photo, back away, let the timer do its thing. Oh, make sure you shoot in RAW so that's the highest quality, and then take that, import it. I import it into Bridge, and then I do a little color grading. I send it to Photoshop, do the final color grading, final cropping, blemish touch-ups, then it goes to the print shop. But most importantly, make sure you use a really nice camera, make sure you have really good lighting coming from both sides, and avoid that glare. Do you use an app to make a grid on your reference photos? If so, what app? I do. And I don't know what's called right now. I'll put it right here. It is an absolute game changer. Now, when you're making your reference in Photoshop, you have to make sure that your reference photo is the right dimensions of the paper you're going to use. But then I will send it to my phone, and I'll put in this app and just put down how many lines I want vertical, how many horizontal, what the width is, blah, blah, blah. It's really easy. You just got to fill out like 3 things, and boom, it puts it on there, saves it in high definition, and it's free. I think it's free. Did I pay for it? No, I think it's free. Yeah, highly, highly, highly recommend. How are you? You're definitely the greatest artist I know. Thank you so much. I'm good. How are you? How do you get the color black so deep? Basically just using straight charcoal. I will take just a General's charcoal pencil, preferably the soft variation, and just straight up color it in. And then for like the graphite parts, I will take this Faber-Castell, the Polychromos color pencil, which gives a really nice like jet black. How can I find my own style in art? Brother, I am figuring that out myself right now. Your style will develop organically over time, but in order to make it develop organically, you just have to draw what you want to draw. What's my favorite tool to use? Honestly, probably this color pencil that I said. This has saved my life so many times because the more that like my technical abilities develop, the more variety of shading I have to do. And there are many spots where the detail is really tiny and only graphite can reach it, but graphite never goes that dark. So I have to pull this guy out, and he blends really well with both charcoal and graphite, which is really hard to come by. So yeah, I always make sure I have one of these on hand. What's your biggest inspiration to create art, and how long does it take you to plan one drawing? My biggest inspiration to create art, like I said, I think it's just the ability to create. I just love creating stuff. I'm really bad at expressing myself in any other way, so I really love expressing myself through my drawings. And to plan a drawing, sometimes it takes like 3 days, sometimes it takes like 3 weeks. It just depends on how large it is and how detailed it is. What's the best thing I can use instead of charcoal? Graphite, I guess, but don't avoid charcoal because I did that for many years and I definitely missed out. Did you ever think about doing tattoos? I feel like you'd be extremely talented in that too. Thank you. I have. I think it'd be really fun to try. I know I would suck at it at first, but I think I have somewhat of a basic understanding of shading. I think I'd give myself that, and I'd definitely be down to try. So if anyone's down to let me practice on them, then hit me up. You were so talented, thank you. When do you go live on Twitch? That is the one thing I've been sucking at recently. It's been a couple weeks, but I try to go live around midnight Eastern time. But when I start the next drawing that I'm planning right now, which will be in a couple weeks, I'll go back to streaming on a daily basis. Do you know a music band named The Smiths? The Smiths. Jesus. I do. I don't listen to them regularly, but I know The Queen is Dead, and I know it's a really good album because I've listened to that one. How do you take your reference photos? So I do take them all myself, even if it's something really basic, just like a texture or like a clothing pattern or something. I make sure that all the photos are my own. It varies so much, but if I'm setting something up, I do have a black like backdrop and I have these really nice studio lights in here. So I make some sort of like photo shoot. I'll mess with the lighting, I'll mess with the ISO, shutter speed, all that fun stuff, and just take a bunch of pictures. I kid you not, I'll take probably 300 pictures and use one of them. It's better to have too much than not enough. So yeah, I definitely go overboard, but getting the references and getting it all set up is 10 times harder in my opinion than doing the drawing itself. Don't underestimate that stage of the drawing. Really make sure you get it how you like it before you start. Do you have any muse or inspo or something? I mean, like I said, I listen to a lot of music. I like comic books. In fact, growing up in elementary school, I wanted to be a cartoonist. So I do look at a lot of comic book artists for inspiration. And as far as this type of stuff I do, I studied a lot of Dylan Eakin and Caleb Lidgard's work, so shout out them. They're like the gold standard for this type of work. And lastly, what other media has inspired your work? Specific movies, shows, albums. I know we've talked about this, but if we're gonna talk specifics, man, albums, I mentioned Fuzzy Brain. You can laugh at me, but 100 Gex is like one of the most creative and original bands out there. They make some of the wildest stuff and they don't care what people think of them. So I definitely use them for a lot of inspiration. Movie, shows, oh man, this is so hard to put on the spot. I mean, a lot of the surrealistic elements of my drawings come from a lot of like science fiction. I know when I'm editing this video, I'm gonna kick myself. So I'm just gonna like leave the space right here for me to put all of the movies and TV shows that I can't think of right now. But I mean, Interstellar is one of my favorite movies. I know Baby Driver is really inspiring as far as the setup and the composition and the music. I know the Spider-Verse movies are artistically, they're masterpieces and they're very inspiring, especially how they hire a lot of young artists to work on the movies. So that's really cool. Here is everything I can't think of right now. I think I answered all of them except the repeats. Thank you guys so much for asking the questions and participating. I had a blast. Hopefully I answered them to your liking, and we'll definitely do this again sometime. So make sure to go follow me on Instagram and TikTok because I'll be posting the story there where you can ask me the questions. And if you just want to see my latest artwork, I post daily on those two platforms. Oh, and if you want prints, I sell prints on my website. Right now I'm running a Black Friday sale. Use code HOLIDAY23 at the checkout on my website to get 30% off your entire purchase. I have prints of pretty much every recent drawing I've done, many different sizes. Some are limited edition, some aren't. They're super high quality. I'm very excited about them. So if you're interested, they're on my website and the link is below. So yeah, I appreciate you guys being here, helping me out with this video, and let's do it again. We'll see you soon.